What's up, NBA fanatics? Get ready for some truth bombs courtesy of the former owner of the Dallas Mavericks. The one and only Mark Cuban. He's finally spilled the beans on that blockbuster trade that sent superstar Luka Dončić to the Los Angeles Lakers, and his opinion might surprise you. While Cuban initially played it a bit coy when asked about the trade shortly after it happened, admitting he would have sought a better deal but not explicitly saying if he would have made it, he's now laid his cards on the table. During an appearance on the Your Mom's House podcast with comedian Tom Segura, Cuban revealed his true feelings around the 54-minute mark of the show. Cuban explained that while he no longer has operating control of the Mavericks, he did receive a text from GM Nico Harrison on the night the Dončić trade went down. Initially, Cuban thought Harrison was asking for his opinion on the potential deal. But he quickly realized the trade had already been finalized. And Cuban's response to that text? He said he didn't agree with trading Dončić, adding the very important disclaimer, "It wasn't my decision to make." Ouch. Cuban then went on to agree with Segura's assessment that Dončić is a generational talent. He even drew a parallel to the Mavericks' decision to let Steve Nash leave back in 2004. Nash, of course, went on to win back-to-back MVPs with the Phoenix Suns. Cuban admitted that letting Nash walk would have looked even worse if the Suns had defeated the Mavericks in the 2006 Western Conference Finals. Luckily for Cuban, at least in that scenario, the Mavs made it to the finals that year, though they ultimately lost to the Miami Heat. It's clear that even though he no longer calls the shots in Dallas, Mark Cuban still has strong feelings about the Luka Dončić trade. His admission that he didn't agree with it likely resonates with many Mavericks fans who were heartbroken to see their young superstar leave. It just goes to show you that even at the ownership level, not everyone is always on the same page when it comes to making franchise-altering decisions. What do you think about Cuban's comments? Let us know below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more NBA news and insights. We'll see you on the court. What's up, basketball banter buddies? Get ready for a slightly less bombastic take from the one and only Stephen A. Smith. It seems even he might be reconsidering his stance on Bronny James's NBA readiness after the young fella had himself a game. Remember a couple of weeks ago when LeBron James reportedly had a little courtside chat with Stephen A. about his comments suggesting Bronny belonged in the G League? Well, it looks like Bronny might have heard those comments too, and he decided to respond on the court. In a recent game where the Lakers were missing a whole squad of players, including his dad, Bronny stepped up big time against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. He dropped a career-high 17 points, dished out 5 assists, and looked genuinely impressive in his 30 minutes of action. And who was watching? None other than Stephen A. Smith himself. The morning after Bronny's breakout performance, Smith took to the airwaves of First Take and uttered those 4 little words that you don't hear from him every day. "I might have been wrong." Cue the dramatic music. Smith admitted he was very impressed with Bronny's confidence and poise. He said Bronny looked like he belonged on the court and highlighted some of his moves, the ball handling, getting to the basket, the jumpers, even a three-pointer. High praise indeed. Now, Stephen A. being Stephen A., he did pump the brakes a little, saying one good game doesn't make a career. But he did acknowledge that if Bronny continues to play like that, he could be in the league as a bona fide player sooner than later. He also reiterated that he never meant to disrespect Bronny, but he genuinely believed the G League would be the best path for him. However, he now thinks that being around the Lakers staff and getting G League experience might be doing wonders for Bronny's development quicker than anticipated. And in true Stephen A. fashion, he ended his segment with a message directly to Bronny, saying they'll give him props when he plays well and be critical when he doesn't. That's just how covering the league goes. Maybe LeBron didn't tell him that, but Stephen A. sure did. Congrats to Bronny on the good performance. Let's see if he can keep it up. What do you think? Has Bronny proven Stephen A. wrong? Let us know below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more NBA news. We'll see you on the next highlight reel. What's up, hoops heads? Get ready for some huge news out of Boston. The Celtics, one of the most iconic franchises in NBA history, are officially under new ownership. The team has been sold to a group led by Bill Chisholm, the co-founder of Symphony Technology Group, and the price tag? A record-shattering $6.1 billion. That's right, folks. We're talking serious money. This sale blows the previous record for a North American sports franchise out of the water. That was the Washington Commanders at $6.05 billion. So, the Celtics are officially the most expensive team on the continent. The current majority owner, W.Y.C. Groesbeck, confirmed the sale and had nothing but praise for the incoming owner, calling Chisholm a terrific person and a true Celtics fan, who was born and raised here in the Boston area. Groesbeck will even stick around for the next 3 years as CEO and governor, staying on as Chisholm's partner. Sounds like a smooth transition. So, who is this Bill Chisholm guy dropping over $6 billion on a basketball team? He's the co-founder of a private equity firm that deals with data, software, and analytics. He's also apparently a die-hard Celtics fan who's ready to win and raise banners, both in the near and long term. That's exactly what Celtics fans want to hear. He's even been chatting with coach Brad Stevens to align their goals. The sale still needs the official thumbs up from the NBA's Board of Governors, but that's expected to be a formality. This news comes about 9 months after Groesbeck first announced he was considering selling the team, just weeks after they won the 2024 NBA Finals. Not a bad time to cash in, right? Groesbeck and his investment group bought the Celtics for a mere $360 million back in 2002. Under their watch, the team won 2 championships and made 4 finals appearances. Not a bad return on investment. So, get ready for a new era in Celtics basketball. A local boy with deep pockets and a passion for winning is taking over. What do you think about this massive sale? Head down to the comments and share your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more NBA news. We'll see you on the court. Alright, you want more content, huh? Let's dive into another fun corner of the NBA world. How about we talk about those moments that make us chuckle? The celebrations. Here's a little something for you. Clocking in around that 1500 character mark. Ever catch an NBA game and see a player do something so over the top after a big dunk or a clutch 3 that you can't help but laugh? Oh man, the celebrations in basketball are a whole different ballgame, pun intended. It's like these guys bottle up all their intensity for 47 minutes and 59 seconds. And then bam, pure, unadulterated joy, and sometimes a little bit of silliness, explodes onto the court. Think about it. You got the classic chest bumps, the high fives that could shatter a small car's windshield, and the screaming into the rafters that could wake up your neighbors 3 towns over. But then you get the truly memorable ones. The ones that live rent-free in your head long after the final buzzer. Remember when LeBron used to do that chalk toss? Okay, maybe not hilarious, but definitely iconic and a little dramatic, right? It was his pre-game ritual. His way of saying, alright, world, buckle up, cuz it's about to go down. Then you've got guys like Dikembe Mutombo with his finger wag. No. After blocking a shot. That wasn't just a celebration, it was a statement. It was like he was personally offended that you even dared to try and score on him. And who can forget some of the more creative celebrations? The dances, the flexing, the pointing to the sky. Sometimes it's pure emotion. Sometimes it's a little bit of showmanship. And sometimes you just scratch your head and wonder what in the world they're doing. But hey, it's all part of the entertainment, right? It adds a little extra flavor to the game. These celebrations are like little bursts of personality in a sport that can sometimes feel very serious. It's a reminder that these are human beings out there, having fun and letting their emotions show. It makes them more relatable, more fun to watch. Plus, let's be honest, sometimes the celebrations are just plain funny. You see a 7-footer trying to bust out a dance move, and you can't help but crack a smile. So, what's your favorite NBA celebration of all time? The subtle nod? The full-on choreographed routine? The one that makes you question their sanity but you secretly love it anyway? Let me know, because when it comes to basketball, it's not just about the buckets and the blocks, it's about those unforgettable moments of pure, unadulterated celebration too. Alright, Duke fans, exhale. Remember that moment when Cooper Flagg went down clutching his ankle? Yeah, we all had flashbacks to March Madness nightmares, didn't we? But fear not. The basketball gods, and maybe some top-notch Duke medical staff, have answered our prayers. Let's break down Flagg's drama-free return and what it means for Duke's championship dreams. So, the The big question hanging over Durham was, could Cooper Flagg's ankle hold up in the big dance? Well, folks, in his NCAA tournament debut against Mount St. Mary's, Flagg answered that question with a resounding, heck yeah. This kid was moving like he had springs in his sneakers. Just a minute and a half into the game, he was already drawing fouls and finishing through contact, even taking a tumble that had us all holding our breath again for a split second. But he bounced right back up like a caffeinated kangaroo. Then, just a few minutes later, bam, a soaring two-handed slam that had him grinning from ear to ear and pointing at the teammate who dished him the sweet pass. That's the Flagg we know and love. Even the sideline reporter, the legendary Tracy Wolfson, had to ask him about the ankle at halftime. Flagg's response? A cool and confident, feeling great, you love to hear it. Now, let's be real. When Flagg went down in the ACC tournament, it brought back some painful memories for college hoops fans. We're talking about career-altering injuries that derailed championship hopes. Kenyon Martin's broken leg, Kendall Marshall's fractured wrist, even Jamal Sheed's heartbreaking ankle sprain last year against, wait for it, Duke. The social media pics of Flagg in a wheelchair had us all bracing for another March Madness what-if story. But thankfully, the X-rays were clean. No walking boot, just a little rest and rehab. And Flagg was back on the court and feeling optimistic. And boy, did he deliver. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks, and he probably could have put up even bigger numbers if Duke actually needed him to. They were up by a country mile in this game. The bottom line here, folks, is that a healthy Cooper Flagg is huge for Duke's national title aspirations. This kid is the projected #1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft and a favorite for National Player of the Year. Without him, Duke still managed to snag the ACC tournament title, which is no small feat. But with him back and looking like his usual dominant self, the Blue Devils are officially locked and loaded for a serious run at their first national championship since 2015. So, Duke fans, you can breathe easy. Cooper Flagg is back, he's healthy, and he's ready to lead the charge. Keep an eye out for their second-round matchup against Baylor. It's gonna be a good one. Alright, folks, Day 2 of March Madness is in the books. And if you were hoping for bracket-busting chaos, well, let's just say Friday was a bit more by the book. We saw a lot of top seeds taking care of business. But don't worry, there were still some fun storylines to chew on. Let's dive into the scores, results, and the biggest takeaways from Friday's action. First things first, let's talk about the Duke Blue Devils. Remember all that nail-biting anxiety about Cooper Flagg's ankle? Well, he showed up, he played, and he definitely conquered. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks in a dominant win over Mount St. Mary's. Duke looked like the real deal. And with Flagg back in action, their national title hopes are looking brighter than a freshly polished championship trophy. But Duke wasn't the only top dog to cruise to victory. Florida, Kentucky, Arizona, and Maryland all had themselves a day, rolling to easy wins that probably didn't cause too many bracket upsets. It was like watching the Harlem Globetrotters out there. Even the reigning champs, UConn, handled their business against Oklahoma, setting up a tasty second-round showdown with Florida. Get your popcorn ready for that one. Now, speaking of upsets, there was one that kinda sorta happened. But with an asterisk, number 12 seed Colorado State took down number 5 Memphis. Now, while a 12/5 is usually a bracket buster, Colorado State was actually favored in this matchup due to some questionable seeding and injuries plaguing the Memphis squad. So, while it counts as an upset on paper, it wasn't exactly the jaw-dropping moment we all crave in March. Beyond the big wins, we saw some other interesting results. Baylor edged out Mississippi State in a close one. St. Mary's squeaked by Vanderbilt. And Ole Miss pulled off a minor upset against North Carolina. Sorry, Tar Heels fans. Marquette also took care of business against New Mexico. Illinois handled Xavier. Michigan State cruised past Bryant. And Oregon dominated Liberty. It was a busy day of hoops, folks. So, what's the big takeaway from Friday? Well, for the most part, the top seeds held strong. It wasn't a day for Cinderella stories running wild. But we did see some impressive performances, especially from Duke with a healthy Cooper Flagg. It looks like the road to the Final Four might just go through some of these powerhouse programs after all. But hey, that's why they play the games, right? March Madness is just getting started. And you know there are plenty more surprises and upsets lurking around the corner. Keep those brackets handy, folks, because the madness is far from over.